Hello, baseball fans. Welcome back to Yankees Talk, and there is again a lot of news today hopping into this offseason. And let's get started right away. I'd like to start off with, are the Red Sox looking like they're starting to tank a little bit? The Red Sox are possibly looking for a trade for Alex Verdugo. And I understand that Alex Verdugo has had a lack of power, has had a lack of defending over the past couple of years, but he's been a solid player overall, and I don't understand the need to possibly trade him. And so they're possibly looking for starting pitching and catching, which I heavily understand, because the Red Sox are in decent need of pitching and catching. But at the moment, they need a solid outfield and other spots that if they get other guys, there's still going to be holes left. So by getting rid of Verdugo leaves a new hole in the outfield, which just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Verdugo last year had a batting average of 280. He had 11 home runs, 74 RBIs, and an OPS of 733. Yes, I understand that, again, he did struggle on defense and with power, but he really had a solid overall season, solid contact guy, and overall, I wouldn't understand why they would not keep him. I could see Verdugo possibly going to the Marlins or possibly going to a team such as, a little bit of a hot take here, the Brewers for maybe Corbin Burns and a prospect for him, and or to the Marlins for Pablo Lopez. If they really wanted that starting pitching, if they wanted catching, Danny Jansen of the Blue Jays. But to be honest, I can't really see Alex Verdugo really going anywhere because the Red Sox need him, in my opinion. He's one of the last guys other than Connor Wong from that blockbuster Mookie Betts deal, and it would be a very hard loss for many Red Sox fans. So next we have the Padres and Marlins are looking at a veteran starting pitcher, Johnny Cueto, who's with the White Sox the past few years. Cueto had a great season this year, although his record doesn't totally show it. He had 8 wins and 10 losses. He had an ERA of 3.35, 158.1 innings pitched, 102 strikeouts, and a whip of 123. Solid overall stats. Great pitching this year. I understand his record doesn't show it, but at the same time, the White Sox offense did struggle and have many bumps along the road, so it doesn't really look like it, but a 3.35 ERA is pretty good. And I could see Johnny Cueto going to the Padres, who, after losing Mike Clevenger and Sean Manaea, would be a great plus for them. And I could also see him going to the Marlins, getting added to that rotation of Sandy Alcantara and Pablo Lopez, which would also be a great deal for them and would really improve their starting pitching. So either team would be phenomenal, and I could see Johnny Cueto having a bright future with either of them. Giants fans, congratulations. You got the outfielder that you were looking for, sort of. The Giants were so concerned with health, and Mitch Haniger, who struggled to stay healthy, Michael Conforto just coming off shoulder injury, and not keeping Carlos Correa because of a disagreement on test results just doesn't make sense to me. So instead, they got Michael Conforto to a 2-year, $36 million deal with an opt-out after year 1 in case he does super well. I mean, that's not a terrible signing. It's filling a hole into the outfield that they needed. But at the same time, it's not the guy they were looking for. Correa or Judge, who they were in on, that big splash, is not who they got. I understand they're using that saved money now from the Correa deal to get Conforto and possibly other guys. And there was one other one I'll talk about next. But it's not the ideal situation, in my opinion, for them. It's not the guys they were hoping for. Conforto, his overall career, he had a batting average of 255, 132 home runs, 396 RBIs, and an OPS of 824. Not terrible, not the greatest, but at the same time, I could see him doing well. He's going to be struggling at first, just getting back into baseball after having a year off, coming off of injury. It's going to be difficult. It could be a really rough year or a bounce back year. Who knows? The other guy the Giants signed was Taylor Rogers, relief pitcher. And Taylor Rogers will be joining his twin brother, which is the second time ever in Major League Baseball this is happening. Rogers had a decent season last year. He didn't have the greatest record, and honestly, he could have done better, but at the same time, he did have some struggles and bumps. He had a record of 4-8. He had an ERA of 4.76. He had 31 saves. He had 64.1 innings pitched, 84 strikeouts, and a whip of 118. He could come in clutch every now and then, such as these saves that are happening, But he overall, it doesn't seem as if he was terribly good. He could have done better, as I said, but at the same time, picking up him for the Giants would be pretty good. He's on a 3-year, $33 million deal there, and that's just adding to their bullpen, which has troubled and struggled over the last couple of years, which is just truly unfortunate. A struggling bullpen is really what needs to be fixed on a team, because that's really the back end of the pitching staff in which you can really lose a game or win a game because of them. And so having a weak bullpen really just brings down the team overall. And if the Giants can help strengthen it by signing Rodgers, that'd be great for them. Next, let's move on. Drew Smyly back to the Cubs, reuniting with them. The Cubs will not stop signing guys, and I do not understand where they're getting all this money from. It's unbelievable, and the Cubs just won't stop between Swanson, Tyone, Bellinger, now Smyly. All these guys are coming back. Smyly's on a 2-year, $16.5 million deal with a mutual option for $10 million in 2025 if they both agree. Smyly had a pretty good season last year. He had a record of 7-8. He had a 3.47 ERA, 106.1 innings pitched, 91 strikeouts, and a WHIP of 119. That's pretty good. He had a great season, and I could honestly see him doing a lot for the Cubs, help strengthen and deepen that pitching staff. And overall, the Cubs are starting to get really strong. Look out for them to possibly compete for the NL Central, and I cannot wait to watch them. Now here's a big controversial piece of news. Trevor Bauer is back, and he is coming back possibly to the Dodgers. And the Dodgers are possibly, in my opinion, probably going to let him go. Noah Syndergaard and Trevor Bauer have had many tension in the past. They'll never get along in that clubhouse. And on top of that, I just can't see the Dodgers, such a big team, just really taking him in again, especially after what happened. So in all honesty, I think Trevor Bauer is going to find a new team after the 24-day period is up on whether or not the Dodgers want to keep him. So great that he was a phenomenal pitcher, is back, but it's very controversial as many people are skeptical on if he did this or not. And I don't want to have a say in it, as I don't want any tension on this channel. But at the same time, I'm just happy a great pitcher is back. And overall, in his career, Bauer has had 83 wins and 69 losses, an ERA of 3.79. He's pitched 1,297.2 innings, and he has a WHIP of 124 and 1,416 strikeouts. What can I say? He's a great pitcher. He's 32 years old, and he's going to come back. And I could see him doing really well for the team he joins. I could also see him not doing so well because obviously he's had a year off. Obviously, knowing that he might come back, he could have been working in the offseason and everything. But at the same time, I'm not totally sure. It's going to be a new ball game, and it's going to be a new Bauer. So, who knows? Let's move on to the hot take segment of the video today. And I'd like to say Corbin Burnes in a trade from the Brewers. Corbin Burnes to the Padres in a player-to-player swap, and possibly one prospect of the Padres to the Brewers for Corbin Burnes. I would say Ha-Seong Kim of the Padres in a prospect. And I could see that going through, as the Padres, as I've stated, especially if they don't get Johnny Cueto, are in need of starting pitching. And getting Corbin Burnes would really add that depth, add that ace, other than Joe Musgrove, other than Yu Darvish, to that pitching staff. And that would be one of the best pitching staffs in 1-2-3 punches in all of the MLB between Yu Darvish, Joe Musgrove, and Corbin Burnes. That would be phenomenal for the Padres. And I could really see this trade possibly happening, as it would benefit the Brewers by adding that depth in second base and shortstop with Kim, and really adding that piece that they could use all around in the infield. And Kim last year had a decent season. He had a batting average of .251, 11 home runs, 59 RBIs, and an OPS of .708. Again, that's why I say they could add a prospect into that, especially a top pitching or just their number 1, 2, or 3 prospect in general. As Kim, sure, he doesn't have the greatest offensive stats, but he's good on defense. And adding that prospect would kind of deepen that trade and make it happen more, because a player-to-player swap just isn't as realistic in this case. And Burnes, we all know what he does. He's a phenomenal pitcher and one of the best in all baseball. So winning the Cy Young 2 years ago in the NL. So that's just great. And lastly, onto the Yankees information. The Yankees are in heavy talks with the Pirates for Brian Reynolds. What can I say? I'm not surprised. The Yankees need that left field option, and getting Reynolds would be absolutely phenomenal. Brian Reynolds, he's a switch hitter, I've stated. He's an overall ground great defender, great offender. And a possible trade scenario, in my opinion, that could happen. The one thing I would not want is Jason Dominguez to be traded. I do not want Dominguez to leave. I want him to stay. I could see him being an elite ball player. Therefore, I do not want him going to another team until we see what he can do in the MLB. So, I could see, obviously, the Yankees require Brian Reynolds, but the Pirates, they get pitching prospects Clayton Beeter. They get Luis Heel, pitching prospect. Clark Schmidt, one of our backup starting pitchers or relief pitchers, as well as our outfield prospect Eli Dunham. And that is a decent deal because although the Pirates are not getting top of the crop pitching prospects, they're decent pitching prospects, as well as just that's what the Pirates are looking for in general, just many starting pitching, relief pitching prospects that they can use and form into decent ball players to trade and have pieces for other clubs. So that would be great for that. And as well as the outfield piece to fill in that gap maybe for a little bit, as well as just having that depth into their farm system as well, which is why I could see Eli Dunham going there, because instead of Jason Dominguez, they still get that outfield piece that could be useful in the future. But anyways, guys, I would like to thank you all for watching the video. Like and subscribe, comment your thoughts, reactions, any feedback for me. I thank you all for watching and your constant support, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.